The one move I would make if I was Jimmy Haslam right now would be firing Jim O'Neill and scrapping the defense as a whole and taking the best 11 guys I have and putting them on the field, whether that means switching to a 4-3 or a 3-4. I want the best guys out there. I'm sick of hearing about how we can't take Kirksey off of special teams, and we've got to put Tank Carter in there on scrimmage downs because, Kirksey's an integral part of our special teams. Special teams impacts the game maybe 10 times per game. We need linebackers that can play every single down. That creates a little bit of a problem when I'm trying to run a 3-4 and I've got a bunch of defensive linemen and not enough linebackers to play the system. The scheme doesn't make sense. It doesn't stop the run. It doesn't get after the passer. There's not much else you do defensively except get after the passer and stop the run, and he's demonstrated an ability to get neither out of his players. He's overmatched at the professional level. Jim O'Neill should go as defensive coordinator. The only problem is it's going to take an ultimatum from Jimmy Haslam and Ray Farmer to get him out because he played for Mike Pettine's dad. He knows the family well, and he's fully entrenched because of that. And it's a bad situation for the Browns. It's even a bad situation for him because it's above his pay grade. It's a decision made to give him power that he has not necessarily been prepped to handle. And I think it's about time that the Browns realize that he's in over his head and go in a different direction.
That's what I don't understand. Okay, you got a buddy, you got a family friend. I get that. You want to give the guy some work. That's fine. Make him an assistant linebackers coach or something. Have him not in a position to control the defense. And Matt, Mike Pettine is still involved with the defensive preparation of this team. It's not like he's not around the defensive room at all. So how is he allowing this? How is he saying, okay, well, when we're seeing these wide gaps and not lining up and miscommunication and it just seems like madness having Paul Kruger and we saw him a bit on the right side yesterday, but dropping back into coverage, you're trying to be too cute, get too complicated, and it just isn't working. That's why I don't understand when you couple that in with you've allowed 13 times in your 23 games 149 or more yards. I just don't see how they could put their head in the sand and say, yeah, this guy, Jim O'Neill, is doing it. I don't understand that.
The whole "this isn't who we are" narrative is beyond old at this point. It is who you are. You can't stop the run. You're going to get gashed for 150 yards. And you're not playing Barry Sanders. You're not playing Eric Dickerson. You're playing the Ronnie Hillmans, the Justin Forsetts, the Todd Gurley being the exception.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys who've gone for over 150 on you or over 100 on you are no-name backs that were one-week fantasy hits, never to be heard from again.
That's it. That's the frustrating part. And, yeah, when you finally face a guy at the level of Todd Gurley, remember, too, this guy's coming off of ACL. How good is he going to be next year? How good is he going to be later on in this season? This was his first game without the knee brace on. That guy looked absolutely legit. Looked what Trent Richardson was supposed to be for the Browns. And it's just, all right, that's what a real back looks like. That's how you get punished by a real threat at the running back position. So, all right, so you'll get rid of Jim O'Neill. My move, and again, weigh in on Twitter at AndyMC81, at Matt Florjancic, to our Dawg House presented by SportsInteraction.com question. Your owner, Jimmy Haslam. You come in Monday, you are pissed. Your team did not score a touchdown. Lost 24-6. You got embarrassed. You got thumped on the road. What's your first move today? Matt says gets rid of the defensive coordinator. Me? I'm going out in the hallway. I'm saying, Ray, can I have a word? GM Ray Farmer. Look at this roster you put together. You said wide receivers aren't important. Well, your receivers fumbled the ball. One got concussed in Andrew Hawkins. The lone guy who's above 6'2", Gary Barnidge, big play Gare, is making plays. He's the only one. And, okay, granted, Travis Benjamin has been a revelation. He was held in check yesterday. You have too many of the same guys doing the same things. Hawkins, Gabriel, Benjamin. How does this make sense? Oh, yeah, and then your draft picks haven't done anything. Oh, yeah, and then your defense that you built and the mantra of we're going to stop the one, we're going to run the ball. You've done nothing. You haven't had one guy run for 100 yards on his own all season. Ray, bye-bye. You're fired. get out, and I do not want, Matt, I do not want Ray Farmer for another second, for another moment, planning and scouting and preparing for this next draft. That has to stop. That's the only reason why I fire. People might say, oh, why'd you fire a GM partway through the year? Who cares? Because the prep for the draft is going on right now, and it is horrifying to think that Ray Farmer could be in charge of, if not an entire draft, having you get to the end of the season, and then it's too late to really scout anybody after that.
Yeah, it really is too late to scout, and it's too late to make any scheme changes and think that it's going to have a drastic impact next year. If you want to make those impacts, you're going to have to suck it up for the last 9 games of this year, chalk it up to the fact that you made the wrong decision again, and go after it next year and get guys that you think can be a better fit for your team. I don't think it's any question that the Browns need a wide receiver. Now the question is this class going to be any good compared to the last 2 that were loaded with wide receivers that you laid on? I don't know. And we're going to find out the answer to that question, but it's no misnomer that they need a wide receiver, another pass rusher, either be a linebacker or defensive end, would be a great addition. They're more than likely going to need a quarterback, and they have no semblance of a running game, so they need to do something with that, because the only way Duke Johnson gains any yards is on flare passes to the left or the right side of the formation and not between the tackles. So Lord knows this team has a lot of holes, and it's going to take more than one draft to fill it. But if you keep letting Ray Farmer run the draft, your holes just keep getting larger and larger and larger for your opponents to run through.
It's true. That's the way this whole philosophy has gone with the slow brewed coffee. We've talked about that before, that Farmer said. Get an espresso, buddy. Get an instant. Get one of the Keurig machines. Get something where you get some instant coffee, because this long, drawn-out process only works if you see progress, if you see development. If the Browns were gradually getting better in run defense, gradually getting better on all aspects of the game, I could live with that. But Matt, they're not. They're getting worse. They're getting worse. And as you said, oh, this isn't who we are. Yes, it's all you've been on defense is not stopping the run, allowing big plays, and falling flat and not being able to come back late in games. Like that is all you have been at. So we'll get to your replies in the Barkhoff a little later in the show, at AndyMC81, at Matt Fleur-Jancic, of what would you do as owner of the Browns, your one move today. Matt, let's get swing around the AFC North and look at some scores and see where the standings, where we're left at right now. Baltimore Ravens, by the way, playing tonight in Arizona against the Cardinals. That will be a tough one. So we go to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are on a bye, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers, Matt, who I got to say, that backup quarterback, now they lost. They're 23-13 to the Kansas City Chiefs. But Landry Jones still looked pretty good to me. He didn't look terrible.
No, he didn't. And to see Pittsburgh lose their starting quarterback and succeed is not all that surprising, but it is disheartening because we can't succeed, and we have had our starting quarterback for most of the year. So it really shows the gap in talent around the respective quarterbacks, and Pittsburgh has it, and quite frankly, Cleveland doesn't.
But at least they lost. So they're 4-3, Browns 2-5, and not in last, still in the division. Even if Baltimore wins, based on the tiebreak right now, the Browns would not be in last place. So let's look at the SportsInteraction.com Monday night money line for the Ravens into Arizona to battle the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, for some people, myself included, legitimate threats to get to the Super Bowl. And they've had some surprising struggles, but you have Carson Palmer, who's looked really good. You go to SportsInteraction.com and do /Browns. SportsInteraction.com /Browns. You can bet on the Monday night game and really all the other major sports you want. SportsInteraction.com /Browns. Sign up. Your first deposit, they will match up to $200. So if you put $20 in, you'll have $40 in your account. You put $100, you get $200, and so on. The money line, the Cardinals are favored by 9. Now, I don't think that the Ravens are going to beat the Cardinals, but 9, whenever you get above a touchdown, it starts making me nervous if you're going to put money down on it.
Without question. I would take the Ravens in this situation. I know their offense isn't great, and I know that Arizona is loaded with talent on the defensive side of the ball, but 9 is a little bit high.
Yeah, that gets to be just a little bit much. So, you know what? It's tough because I think they will win. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say Ravens cover, but if you're going just based on winner, which you can also do at sportsinteraction.com, for just winner, I would say the Arizona Cardinals there. All right, let's get to your tweets, your thoughts in the Barkoff on our question of the day here on a Therapy Monday, a depressive, whatever you want to call it. The Browns 24-6 losers in St. Louis. So we put out the question there. I've gotten some great interaction on it. Okay, your Browns owner Jimmy Haslam got one move to make today on the field or the front office. What is it? Matt said get rid of the defensive coordinator, Jim O'Neill. I say dump Ray Farmer. Do not let him plan another moment of this next draft. From @Pata5something says play young draft picks because the vets are not getting it done. Hard to disagree there. From John Henry on Twitter says tied for first move. Fire Farmer, warn Pet, play Bo, make Johnny Football number 1, and drop play like a Brown slogan. It's a laugh and humiliating. At this point, I'd have to agree. Play like a Brown. Just take that sign down.
I would drop. Well, they're playing like Browns. they got that. Check that off the list. But accountability, there isn't. There's none from the coaches. There's none from the players. There's none from front office members who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. The whole accountability thing is an absolute joke. It's awful. It's terrible. It's whatever word you want to just use to describe it. It's awful. There is no accountability, and if you want to have that be your main tenet as a team, you can't let a guy who's been a Pro Bowler in his career walk in the locker room and say, I'm not talking to the media, and then walk out.
Yeah.
And why aren't you active, Dwayne? What are you not doing that leads you to not play? Like, have somebody stand up in front of the room and take accountability. It can't always be Josh McCown. It can't always be Carlos Dansby. Dante Whitner hasn't talked to the media since week 1. Really? This is week 8, and he has not talked to the media before a game in like a month and a half. Like, and he's would be a defensive captain. Like, where the hell is the accountability in this regard? Like, nobody's standing out front saying, "Yeah, it's my fault. I'm taking this. I'm owning it." And we're going to get better. Nobody's saying that. They just keep saying, this isn't who we are. This isn't who we are. Oh. This isn't who we are. There's no hope to get better if you're not willing to acknowledge that you need to do something to get better.
Yeah. It's true because everybody, it seems, Matt, is just putting their head in the sand and just hoping it goes away. That's not being accountable. That's not saying, all right, let's own this. It's, can we get someone else to talk? Oh, man, I don't want to talk about that. Another loss. No. It's just hiding. And, like, Matt, we'll talk more about it on Friday's show, looking ahead to the Arizona Cardinals game at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland. But I don't see, we talked about it last week, I just don't see any signs pointing, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to things getting better. If Johnny starts and Johnny gets in there, that's another story. Maybe they can find some magic, some spark, and all that there. But defensively, man, unless they start admitting to themselves that they have to do a full wholesale change and put people back into positions to succeed, do you think anything's going to change? I don't.
No, it's not going to change because the accountability hasn't changed. Nobody is putting these guys on blast and calling them out. The only one who was put on blast was Joe Hayden. Mm-hmm. I still have no idea why. He was the only one that the coaching staff decided to out. They'll protect Dwayne Bowe. They'll protect Johnny Football. They'll protect all these guys, and they throw under the bus the one guy in the locker room who has passion for this team, who cried after a loss last year and 2 years ago because he was so pissed off that the team wasn't living up to expectations. They're going to toss him under the bus. So if I'm in the locker room, I'm thinking to myself, man, there is no way I'm going to be showing emotion and getting all upset about this, because if I do, I'm going to be the one under the bus. If I go like old man Dwayne Bowe and I just yuck it up on the sideline while
have a
the
good
paycheck
time.
just keeps getting fatter and fatter, I'm going to be cool. I'm not going to get thrown under the bus.